several consent agenda items that continues the process of what we did last month. We have about 67 to catch up on some of our housing issues. First thing that I'd like to do is, as we've done in the past, is we're going to start with the consent agenda, if that's okay with the committee. I'm going to call Mr. Brooks up. Excuse me. So, no meeting? Just a minute. We're having technical difficulties, so everybody gets a break. We'll wait. Oh, 3 minutes. That's fast. Call the meeting of the General Government Housing Community Development Committee to order. I want to welcome everyone. We got a long agenda. We're going to get through it, though. I can promise you that. The one thing we're doing is what Councilmember Montgomery started last month to try to get through some of these housing compliance issues. So again, I'm going to call up Mr. Brooks to start this process. And Councilmember Montgomery is not here today because of working. And he called me like 2 hours ago. So you got me today. Go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the committee. We have a number of cases for demolition consideration today, and they are, as they were last month, in 3 categories. The minus 50%, plus 50%, and one is in the 65% category. If it is the desire of the committee to go through this as you did last month or the month before, you took the minus 50% category first. And I would suggest that we follow that same process. And in doing so, there are several that need to be pulled because they have been brought into compliance. And I can read those for you to let you know which ones they are. In your books, it would be C11, 3508 Cherry Street, C16, 1611 East 25th Street.
What was the one in C11? Which one?
No, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong number. C11 is 3508 Cherry Street.
Gotcha. And it's done.
Yes.
All right.
C16.
All right.
1611 East 25th Street. Pardon? It may be a mistake. My page says 1611 East 25th Street.
Mine says the 21st.
Mine says 25th.
21st.
All right,
That's the difference again in the book and the tabs. And
Let's not tear down the wrong house.
Actually, I think if you look down in the body, it does say 25th Street. So up in the top it says 21st, and in the body it says 25th.
Which is correct.
25th. I'll get you ready.
To continue, C19, 2017 East 18th Street.
2017 East.
I'm sorry, 2019.
I don't see that one. Maybe on the next page.
C19,
2019, what street?
2017 East 18th Street.
It's at the top of the section.
yes,
18. Gotcha.
Let's try it another way. 4224 Whitfield Road.
That's that one.
Yep.
That's C20.
We have bingo.
All right. Let's try C25, 2306 Delabrook. The address is 2306 Delabrook.
Okay.
What about what?
Yeah.
I don't have that. I've got 2306 Delabrook.
and
We got
that's
two
correct.
letters.
It's two. If you look through the appendix, the paperwork is correct. It's in there. You just have to get past the initial paperwork. But 2036, I'm looking at it, it's in there.
The next is 2113 Hollywood.
What number is that?
C31.
C31. Hollywood.
Holyrood,
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Scottish.
Okay.
The next is 844 East Devonshire.
32.
34.
And that was, give us that one again, please.
844.
844 East Devonshire. I have it as C34.
Yeah, I got you.
Correct.
The next is 2727 Ludwig Street.
C39.
C39.
Yeah.
Ludwig, yeah.
So those are the cases in the minus 50% category where the owners have brought them into compliance with the code.
Okay. So, what is the action that we did last month? Is this the one where we offer the,
The action that the committee took last month was to provide an additional 30 days. The normal period of time would be 90 days if you were to adopt the order on the minus 50%. And you added 30 more days and made that time period 120 days. For anyone who was interested in repairing their property, they could get a 120-day time period to do that, contingent upon them signing a voluntary demolition agreement.
what would be the,
With respect to that, we did send voluntary demolition agreements to all of the persons that we have listed in the minus 50% category. And we have a signed agreement for 3664 Yale Avenue, C32.
okay,
1900 Longview. I have it as C33. And 423 Westview, I have it as C46.
okay.
So they've signed the VDA. You would still adopt the order as you would the others. So for the remaining individuals, it was announced that if anyone was present that wanted to take advantage of the extended time period, if their name is called out, then they could leave the room and meet with staff, and staff would then provide them with a VDA that they could return to the office. So if you would like me to, I can go down the
Please.
list on that. So that would be 1228 Golson Avenue, 1228 Golson Avenue, C3, 1926 East 3rd, C4, 574 Waterworks Road, C5, 2712 New Walkertown Road, C6, 425 Cadillac Street, C7, 4225 Rolling Knoll Lane, C8, 4240 Mashie Drive, C9, 1540 Bethania Rule Hall, C10. 2519 North Patterson Avenue, C12. 4863 Germantown Road, C13. 3222 Carver School Road, C14. 530 Oak Summit Block, C15. 4201 Northampton, C17. And again, 4201 Northampton, C18. 843 Eford, C21. 4384 Ogburn Avenue, C22. 2519 Rosemary Drive, C23. 1021 Cahuja, C24. 4089 Ogburn Avenue, C26. 1710 Magnum Street, C27. 2624 South Main Street, C28. 1655 Fairview Boulevard, C30. 837 Airy Court, C35. 1171 Salem Lake Road, C36. 912 Gold Floss 337. 921 Ferndale, C38. 1416 Verdun, C40. 161 Hines Drive, C41. 2701 Patria Street, C42. 2733 Patria Street, C43. C44, 261 Jones Road, and 4731 South Main Street, C45. So if anyone is present that would be interested in repairing the property and taking advantage of the 120-day delay, at the direction of council, you would be asked to meet staff in the lobby, and we can arrange for a voluntary demolition agreement to be signed. Otherwise, the person would be here to discuss the case. Those that are not discussing the case, you would just take your action on the remainder.
Do we have, thank you, Mr. Brooks, do we have anyone that would like to take advantage of the volunteer document? Of the ones that have been read?
I will take it until one.
Okay. Yes, you did sign up, Mr. Miller. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. And which house is it, Mr. Miller?
Okay. There's a couple of them here. Two in particular on the same property, 2624 South Main Street. What we have here on the main house, we have,
What's the address?
it's 2624 South Main
Okay,
Street.
I got it. Number
It's the single-family house,
2624?
24. Yes, ma'am.
That's C54 in your books, your tabs.
I'm looking at the violation list here.
I know.
Okay.
That's one.
All right. It has on here to paint or treat exterior wood, minor. This house has cedar shakes, and only the trim needs to be painted. There are broken window panes there's a couple that are broken on the rear where somebody attempted to break in the property. We secured the property. I think there's one side glass broken, and the screens have been ripped. Some screens have been ripped off the property. We have not found a foundation issue. I haven't found it, and an inspector would need to show me. And I think taking it for a broken glass and screens, I think just a little overkill. On the accessory building, I have never received any paperwork on this. I don't, other than it looks old.
What's the address?
It's the same address, 2624. It's an accessory building to the rear.
I see him for the one on Walker.
It
I
has.
see it, 2624, C28.
Yeah, it has it as over 50%, and I have to contest that. It says repair, replace roof covering. It's got a metal roof on it, and it looks old. That's all it is. It's a block building with a metal roof. We use it for storage, to store our materials and as a workshop for our property business. The only protective coating it needs to be, because it's a block building, is the door, is the access door. So it's listed as a minor, but Mr. Bailiff is going to have to show me where the roofing is bad on this and the defective sheathing. I've not found that. I'm not sure what they're talking about. We can't find it because it's a block building, unless they're talking about something else. So I need clarification of that. I need these to be held over.
Mr. Miller?
Mr. Miller, Councilman Bessie.
May I
Yes.
ask, have you met with Mr. Bailiff or anyone with the department on this?
I have called I've called Mr. Bailiff. We've played a little bit of telephone tag.
So no.
Now, I have not spoken to him in probably a couple of weeks, but I did call him as soon as I got this and asked him to call me back, and I've not spoken to him yet.
Isn't there a process for these to be discussed with staff, Mr. Brooks?
Yes, the process would be when it's initially inspected, there's a notice of violation that's sent out, certified, regular mail, and the property is posted, and the owner has an opportunity to have a hearing either in the presence of the hearing officer or over the phone. If that does not occur because the property owner did not show up or did not call, an order is issued and the process is carried out.
So, Mr. Miller, did you respond to the initial notice of violation?
Mr. Bessie, I can respond to the notice. They're still going to issue an order.
Did you respond, Mr. Miller?
Yes. Oh, I've responded several times.
Okay.
I have. Except one of these, I never got any paperwork on. I got paperwork on the first house. I called and I said, well, they said it wasn't a big to do. It was, you had some broken windows. I had a couple of broken windows and some screens. And we went over there and I found no foundation issue.
Right.
I found none.
Thank you.
That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I didn't find it.
When Mr. Miller is finished with his time presentation, I have a comment.
Okay. Mr. McIntosh, Councilman McIntosh, did you have a comment? Okay. Mr. Brooks, thank you, Mr. Miller.
Okay.
As we move forward, we need a motion to carry out the orders on some of the ones that we've already mentioned. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And they're the ones of the numbers that you called out?
That's correct.
That's correct.
There were some other people I think wanted to speak.
Anyone else would like to come up? Thank you.
Two others here that I
Okay, well, we'll get, you want to at least get to give everybody else the opportunity, Mr. Miller. Thank you. Thank you. If you state your name and address, please.
That I am representing Janice Isaacs, and this item number is C9.
Okay.
Miss Isaacs,
Can we get an address, please?
it is 4240 Massey Drive,
Tab C9.
C9. As a matter of trying to get the record right, I will ask you for some direction. James S. Isaacs is deceased. This house was inherited by James S. Isaacs from his sister, and at his death, he left that property to his son and his wife. His wife is here today, Janice Isaacs. She, because of her estrangement with her son, was not able to go in or about the house. Her son has since died. I got her appointed by the clerk of court 10 days ago as administrator of both of these estates. So now she is the proper party to be notified in this matter. So my question to you is this notice to her? I don't think it is, about these improvements. Now, I'm not trying to sidestep fixing these things. I just want to tell you that she has been diligently trying to get Stephen L. Mabe Construction Company to give her a quote and a contract on making the repairs. They are all inside. It's primarily trash, holes in the walls, some wiring problems. We're going to need between your 4-month grace period is close, but because of Mr. Mabe's timetable, we think we might need 6 months. So I want to try to straighten the record out so you're notifying the right people. And I did send a copy of her letters of administration to Mr. Bailiff after I spoke with him on the 5th of April. And he assured me that he would try and get the record straight, that he would work with the city attorney to make sure you were notifying the right person for this deficiency. So we're kind of at your mercy. We don't think the record is good enough for notice to her. We're willing to do it, however, because she wants to get these things done and sell the house. She has the means to do it, and she wants to get it done.
The council member of the ward, Mr. Councilman McIntosh.
Yeah, I know the neighborhood quite well. It's a very nice neighborhood. I mean, the house has a tax value of $183,000.
It does, yeah.
It does look like a fairly significant repair job. Are delicate question, but are the means available to do the work to bring it back up to?
She's got the cash to do it.
Okay, all right. I would have no problem given the 120 days and then come back to us if there's progress and it's not quite finished. That's an option.
Okay. You want to make a motion for that?
I'm not on a committee, but.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What motion,
I'll make the motion if, no.
what motion would you like?
The 120 days and bring it back.
120 days.
That we
and-
defer this for 120
Yeah,
days?
yeah.
I'll make the motion that we keep this in committee for 120 days and for Mr. Brooks to report back to that.
And I'm not trying to add anything to your motion, but that Mr. Bailiff work to get the proper person noticed.
I'll add that to the motion that we properly record the current owner's information.
Just so you know, Mr. Papp, there is a notice of list pendants on file that serves as notice to any subsequent owner of the property. So that's how it's taken care of by statute. Because there are times when property changes and we may not necessarily be able to keep up with it. So therefore, the law allows us to record a notice of list pendants, which puts all subsequent purchasers or owners.
I understand that, but technically, she did not become the owner of the whole property until 10 days ago.
I understand.
So I just,
I'll second Mr. Clark's motion with the understanding that this is not a stipulation that proper notice was not delivered in this case.
Correct.
that's fine. That's
Okay.
The-
So 120 days, it'll come back to this committee,
all right.
assuming it passes.
Yeah. It has been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks, I am not going to act like I understand all what we're doing. I'm helping you to keep us straight up here because this is a lot.
I'm doing my best.
Okay. So, again, it goes back to all the ones that you called out. Who else wants to speak? Anyone else here wants to be heard on any of the properties that were called out? Council,
Mr. Miller had two more he wanted to address.
okay, Mr. Miller, next two properties.
Okay, I'll make this real brief. What I had spoken to a couple of members of council about is extending time periods because they're going to cause a backlog for some, and I think 6 months is going to get more realistic. The one here for 1021 Cayuga Street, this is strictly a vandalism issue. It says repair, there's an issue on here to repair foundation.
Okay, that's C-24.
I'm sorry, I should have pulled that up for you.
How do you pronounce that street?
Cayuga.
Cayuga?
Yeah, it's Cayuga. It's an old Indian name.
Y'all are.
Yeah. If you start at the bottom, if you have the same list that I have, this was mostly a vandalism issue. There's a lot of vandalism down Cayuga Street. I've repaired every window. The foundation issue is when the air conditioning unit was stolen about 4 years ago. A $3,500 unit was stolen from the property. So the only thing that we can do is just simply cover the hole up until we get a new tenant. Then we'll put new heating and air in. Broken windows. Every time I replace windows, they break the windows out. I mean, it's almost futile, and I don't have an answer for that. I've not found any defective siding. The roof. We re-roofed the house a few years ago. We probably had a little storm damage, but other than that, all of this should be minor. But the broken window panes if I replace them within 2 weeks, there'll be all the kids up there will break out the windows again, and we'll be back over on this all over again. And I don't know if I board it up, they're going to say it's a target and all this, that, and the other. So I don't know what the real answer is. I've got the property fenced completely. It's the only property where I have then I fenced it 25 years ago. And yet the kids will still break the windows out. And I don't know what the answer is to that. For 2712 New Walker Town Road, it has on here that the foundation was...
That's C6.
I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself here. That one, the foundation was complied. There is minor... This one is also... has had some minor vandalism. This house was rented as recently as 3 years ago, maybe 3.5. And we had the house all ready for re-rent, and it got vandalized, and that's just kind of what we're dealing with. So, I don't have a problem doing a VDA, but I have a problem with the time frame. It needs to be longer. We're working on it. We're just about finishing with one of the properties that we were working on from last month, and we're just about done with that, and then we're going to the next one, and then we're going to start trying to get these done. But I don't know if these can be completed in 120 days, just because these people are not beholden to me, and I'm only one person, and I've only got a crew of about 3 men that are working on them. So, I mean, I think as far as these go, I would like all these to be extended, except, however, I've got question. I still have serious questions about Main Street. Main Street, the accessory building being more than 50%. I've got doubts, and I want that to be reevaluated if I could.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Thank you. Any others? Anyone else? For the... Excuse me. Come on up, sir. Give your name and address, please. Thank you.
A couple days ago, we see this on the door.
Name and address, please.
I never knocked, okay?
Huh?
This is Miss Wolf. She owns the land.
Okay. Name and address of where you live. We need that for the record.
I'm not too good at hearing most.
Okay.
Janet Wolf, 1141 Apple Street.
Thank you. Thank you. And which property are you here for? What's the address?
Property 1141 Apple Street.
Apple.
But they're trying to buy the house. They already got the letter from the right away. Or they're trying to relocate us. Nobody knocked. They put this on the door.
Mr. Brooks?
It's been wrote on twice.
Can you help us understand what it is that they're trying to communicate to us? Yeah. Help.
It is C56. It's accessory structure.
Property address in question is 1141 Apple Street.
C56.
This letter here, though, is appraisal, acquisition, and relocation from a consultant. not a letter from the city.
Okay.
Baton Rouge.
Well, that's not ours.
So I'm understanding this case was pulled.
We got, I never seen a letter. We got this, getting off.
56.
Who done flag in front of us?
It's 1121.
Is it 1121 Apple, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, C-56.
Let me get over there. 56?
yeah,
I'm trying to get there. Hang on.
I'm there.
It is not on the agenda. You don't have it in your booklets. From my understanding, the case was in processing and it was pulled and not prepared for this particular meeting. Can't give you the details now, but it was pulled, so it's not under consideration at this time.
Okay.
Accessory building, yes.
Different address. Different address,
Yeah.
I believe.
They said they were gonna buy the house in 4 or 5 weeks. I hear demolishing that, I'm confused.
Looks like he's dealing with some right-of-way with the state.
Right, so part of Apple Street is going to be taken
For the,
for the ramp for Peters Creek Bridge.
okay.
Apparently, this is in the path of that.
So advise,
This is not 11.
what is it that we need to do?
Okay,
We
need to hold
can
it.
work with them and put them in the right direction of who they should talk to regarding this matter. It's not one that you all would be addressing today.
Okay.
So if
So
they
the
go
case that-
outside,
the case that's in our book for 1121 is not these people's property. It's a different,
It says right here, demolished 417.
right?
Okay,
That's the state.
that's the state. Thank you.
They wrote it twice.
I know, that's the state.
Still a confusion.
Thank you.
So what-
Staff will help.
The state will buy
We have a staff person that's gonna help you. Thank you. Thanks for coming down. All right. Committee,
Wait a minute.
go ahead.
City attorney.
The city attorney.
I have,
I can't see it.
unless there are other folks that here to speak. You've got 8 cases that need to be removed because of compliance.
Right,
You can take a motion as to those, and I'll give you those numbers in a minute.
okay.
So you have a bucket of cases that can be approved for the requested order with a 120-day DDA.
You have 3.
3 of those cases are Richard Miller's cases. I guess you need to figure out what you're going to do with those. And then you have the remainder. So you have basically 3 buckets,
Okay,
3 separate motions.
okay. The first, we need a motion for
It'll be C11, C16,
16.
C19, C20, C25, C31, C34, and C39, which will be removed because of compliance.
I'll
Correct.
make that motion.
Second.
It is a moved and properly seconded to remove the housing issues that have become compliant, corrected by the owner. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Thank you.
the rest of the cases that are in that particular category, as I mentioned earlier, we did mail out voluntary demolition agreements on 120 days, and they are trickling back in. So I would suggest if the motion could be for those that we receive a voluntary demolition agreement, the order would be for the 120-day delay. If we don't receive the voluntary demolition agreement, it would be the standard 90 days.
And I guess my question would be then, that means you're saying they're trickling in. I got that. Do we have a stopgap line that we draw the line and say, any received after this date, we don't honor with this, then that means it moves to the next? Because reality, you could get one today and one next month, and I mean, what?
If we hadn't gotten it by I would think
The 90 days?
the 90 days. Yep. The first of the month, that's correct. Yeah, the
Okay,
first of the month.
okay, Mr. Miller, go ahead.
So it would be the first of the upcoming month,
May?
yes.
Okay.
So I need to make a motion that the balance, excluding Mr. Miller's, be given 120 days if they send the notice in by,
He's in it.
Now, because you actually got 2 categories up. You have the category where folks are going to sign the VDA. so they'll be given 120 days,
Yeah.
provided they bring the VDA in by May 1st.
Yeah.
Then you have a category where people didn't respond at all. They're
At
gonna
all.
give the
Yeah.
standard 90.
That's what I'm working there.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we honor any VDAs that come in between now or come in by May 1st with the 120 day.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we honor the DVAs that come in before May the 1st. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
And then
Motion carries. Go ahead.
Another motion that any properties that we do not receive
The DVA.
the VDA by May 1st be given the 90 day.
Second.
Yes, Councilmember Larson.
Thank you. Can we look at item 27, please, which
Is that C-27?
27. It has, I talked to the neighbors, with the house personally, it's got about $500 worth of deficiencies on it. Well-priced house. Neighbors do not want to see it demolished. They like to see it rehab. I've not been able to reach the owner yet on that. I'd like to see a delay on that one.
You want to hold that in committee? Is that
I'd like to hold that one in committee for a while, so I can figure out.
That's C-27.
C-27.
I'll make a motion that we hold C-27 in committee till next month.
Give me at least that, 'cause I'm not sure he's even alive. This is
Oh.
the problem.
C-27 tab.
I
Yeah,
found
you
out
have to go
before
through the
it was
paper.
one of the owners was dead, and I couldn't get
It's
it.
okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion we hold it until
Right here.
the May or June meeting, the June General Government Committee.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we hold C-27 in general government until the May meeting. All those in, Joe, oh, sorry, thank you, Joe meeting. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.
And I have one clarification. For Mr. Miller, C-24 and C-28, were they included in your second motion about the 120 days, or are you doing something different?
Well, I was going to say, they are right now, but Mr. Miller, what I'm struggling with, I'm not sure what you're looking for.
What I was looking for is an extension into 6 months as opposed to 120 days.
For your three items.
That, and I want to revisit the accessory building, because I am questioning the more than 50% of the value. I'm questioning that. I've got serious questions about that. And I think that needs to be held back into committee till me and Mr. Bailiff can take a look at it together and assess it.
Yeah.
These aren't in my ward, so I was going to defer to the ward representative.
I don't know if they're here.
Well, Main Street is here.
Oh, I see.
I'm looking for 120 days.
120.
Mr. Councilmember McIntosh, you have a comment?
Well, I mean, for the case in my ward, we said 120 days, come talk to us and give us an update, okay? I think that's realistic, because if we just give everybody a blanket 6 months, then we've just kicked the can down the road 6 months.
I understand.
And I don't understand the business model that says I can only have my 3 guys working on this, when if I went out and hired somebody else to do it, the place would be up and running and rented, and pay that off. I mean, I'm having trouble with that.
Thank you. My comment is, again, like what we're trying to do here, and I know a lot of people think the owners of these properties feel like some of us are acting very irrational, in trying to get us to process these non-compliant issues. Again, the council members, most of these properties in their wards are not here, which is the urban core. And I know if they were here, they would expect us to do due diligence and to stick to the plan. And Mr. Miller, I'm going to agree with another couple of the council members. I think 120 days is enough for you to go talk to Mr. Bailiff, talk to Mr. Brooks, get your work crew or whatever, and come back and talk to us. But I agree with Councilmember McIntosh. We set out to do this because we don't get the response from the property owners like we should. And it's amazing to me, again, I've said this is no disrespect to you or anyone else, But it's amazing how people don't respond to the mail, but everybody comes and tells us they never get the mail. And we all know how that's like the dog ate my homework, you know, and I'm okay with whatever people want to do, but right now, I'm going to stick with the 120 days, and you can get with staff and follow up. Any other comments, any other comments from any other council members?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll move that items C6, 24, and 28, the order be adopted with the stipulation that it's extended to 120 days worth of EDA. It's provided by May 1st.
So, I got a question.
You got to wait. Hold up. The motion has been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion, comments?
All right, my question is, Mr. McIntosh, if I understand you correctly, 120 days, and it has to go beyond that.
We'd like to know why.
Okay. So
120 days.
So if something out of the ordinary happens, and I could come back and
Yeah, I think it's,
that's all I want.
yeah, I think it's incumbent on you to be in touch with Mr. Brooks's office and say, I'm having trouble here. I'm going to need a little further time. And I think you'll get full cooperation. We want to see these houses back as housing.
And as some conversation's been had, some of these violations, some of this stuff is so small.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Right.
Thank you.
To that,
I got you.
Mr. Miller and I had a spirited conversation this morning. We don't have the tools that we want to segregate between demolition and non-dem. I mean, we just can't do that.
But you have an operative word, it's elective. It's, as Mr. Brooks and I had a conversation about it, it's eligible, as he gave it, the operative word eligible. It's not mandatory, it doesn't say shall or may.
Mr. Miller, council member, have you finished your comments?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor that has been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Mr. Brooks.
The next category will be the plus 50% cases, and I think we can move through those fairly quickly. I'll read the addresses. 670 Glenbrook Drive, accessory building, 1917
C47.
Althea Street. The first one was C47.
Starting with tab C47.
Hang on, man, I can't.
They got to get through the big book. We got to get through the big book, so we got to give the
Well, you should have it on an iPad.
next month. Only the committee got this edition.
Keep going.
Go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
1917 Althea Street, C48. 313 Salon Street, C49. 1426 East 23rd, C50. 421 Buick Street, C53. 2624 Accessory Building, C54. 133 West Acadia, C55. 1121 Apple Street Accessory, C56. C57, 2706 Woodvale Accessory Building, 1822 Wartown Street, C58, 738 Cranford Street, C59, 310 Clayton Street Accessory Building, C60, 311 Methodist Drive Accessory Building, C61, 4201 Northampton Drive Accessory Building, C62, 1140 East 22nd Street, C63, 4819 Davis Road, C64, 3038 Colgate Drive, C65, and that's it for the plus 50%. If there are any persons here to speak on any of those cases?
And we've already heard from Mr. Miller. Yes, sir. You'll come up and give us your name and address, please.
I'm William R. Martin, 4819 Davis Road. I'm not sure which one is this. I think he's talking about the garage. It doesn't have a top or floor on it. Yes, C-64.
C-64,
Yes,
It's a-
C-64.
accessory building. Uh-huh. The street is
Correct, it's a garage.
Davis Road.
Well, yeah, roofless structure.
This is in the north, this ward. Give me time. And Mr. Davis,
Davis Road.
Davis Road.
Yeah, I'm Martin, William R. Martin.
Mr. Martin, what is it that you're wanting you to do, your comments?
The roof, he came out and told me I had to put a roof on the garage and a floor. Well, it never had a floor in it, but it's a two-car garage brick building, cinder block building. And I need some time to put the roof on the building, because I'm doing they came out and told me I had to do some work on my house. Okay, now, I've done all of it but the bathroom. I'm working on the bathroom now. So I'm gonna need some time to do this roof on this building.
How much time do you think you need?
At least 6 months or more to get started on the building, because I just got done doing remodeling my front room, and I had to do some work on my foundation. I just got done with all that stuff. Now I'm getting ready, I got to go to my bathroom, which I have not done yet.
Councilmember Bessie?
Mr. Martin, is this where you live?
Yes,
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Councilman McIntosh?
Has the work that's been done here so far been done by you? Have you been building this yourself?
well, I had some of it, yes, not all of it. I couldn't, some of it I could not do, that foundation and stuff.
Right.
I had to get someone to do that, so I had to borrow the money to get it done. So I cannot do the roof until I get some money to do the roof
Right.
on the garage.
Well, I mean, the building looks, other than the trash and things that are, the building materials and things that are in it, the building doesn't look like it's fallen down. It doesn't look like an eyesore, but I think,
You know, it's a cinder block building,
right,
and it's not falling down. But now, there were some trash and stuff out there, but when the thing come by, I took all the trash and put it out on the curb last month.
bulk out and pick up.
Committee members,
Yes, Mr. Brooks.
initial inspection was initiated in 2013.
Any other comments from the council, committee, or the council members? Yes, Councilmember Larson?
So you've been working on this project for how long?
When I bought it, this was, I think it was like 99. When I bought the property, it was 99. I went in because it was like a shell. I put in new thermal guard windows, new doors, and all that stuff.
That's the house. I'm talking about the outbuilding.
Oh, no. I haven't done, well, I started working on the building, but I had to stop working on the building to work in the house.
And
Councilman Bass.
Ms. Meyer, just want to make sure I correctly understood you. This is behind your house that you live in, where
Right.
your
it's
current
It's a
residence.
brick building behind the house, which is a two-car garage.
I'd like to postpone this item till June and confer with the representative for the ward, please.
Okay.
Okay.
And if, Ms. Martin, could you please speak with Mr. Brooks or one of his staff members after the meeting about your options?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
And we're going to hold it in committee till we have a chance to talk with the councilman from that ward, from your area.
Do we need a motion for that? No.
Yeah, I'll make the motion, we hold it in committee for 2 months.
Right. Second.
And direct staff to speak with
Ms. Mark and Ms. Council Member Burke.
Councilmember Burke. Okay?
It has been moved properly seconded that we hold it in committee upon communication with staff and Ms. Burke. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Mr. Brooks.
The last category would be the plus 65. That's where,
Wait. They adopted the motion on 64, I guess the balance of the
yeah,
item.
that's what I was asking, the balance.
On the balance of the items, I'll move the same motion that we made with regard to previous items, that the orders be adopted with stipulation that there be a 120-day window with the VDA and a 90-day window without. Yes.
I don't think have we been doing the 120 on
No, on the plus 50, we haven't been doing the 120.
This
All
is
right.
greater than 50%. You all have
Yeah.
just been adopting the ordinance.
The ordinance is.
Unless you got something you think needs to be extended beyond the 90 days.
How many VDAs have you gotten in on these?
No.
None. We didn't send any out.
Oh, you didn't send any out?
All right.
Because you all authorize them on the less than 50% category.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I'll amend the motion to adopt the orders for the 90-day
I'll second.
notice.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we, what are we doing?
Move forward with staff.
Move forward with the orders at 90 days. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed. Okay.
The last category is the plus 65% category. We have one case, and that address is 610 Cannon Avenue, C66. And I don't believe anyone is here to speak on that particular case.
That's very near the school, isn't it, over off of Thurman Street?
Oh, yeah. I move for the order on C66.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed. Motion carries.
If I could take a moment before we move to the next item. In my conversation with Mr. Miller today, he wanted me to remind you and whoever would be listening that the city we do have some housing rehab programs that are available for individuals whose property needs to be brought up to minimum housing code. And if they are interested, they can contact the Community Development Department at phone number 734-1500, and we would be glad to talk with them about any assistance that may be available.
Thank you. That was a great PSA. And maybe, yes, that's, Mr. Miller, thank you. And maybe going forward, we need to do that. When we're doing this process, do it front side, Mr. Brooks, and on the back side, because it only takes about 10, 15 seconds.
Because the previous gentleman may qualify because that was his residence.
And that was what I was asking about when Mr. Brooks and I had a conversation.
Mr. Miller, if you're going to talk, you got to wait to be recognized, and then you have to go to the podium. Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, Mr. Brooks and I had a conversation some time ago about making some funds available for all property owners, whether they were rental or whether they were homeowners or whatever, to try to, without a lot of strings, to try to help with some minor fix-up repairs for certain things like this, for windows and screens and siding and things like that. And Mr. Brooks said when he came up with this, that we voted on as a bond issue, said he thought of me when he came up with this, and I thought it was a great idea. And I do want to do a follow-up, and hopefully that some of this will be available for some of us out there, so that we can combat the vandalism issues that we have in the community. So I'm all in favor of having that, and we need to get that out, the word out there that money is available, and make it easy to apply.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Brooks, anything else?
That is all the cases for demolition consideration for this month.
Thank you.
May I
Thank you.
ask a
Go ahead,
question?
Councilman Clark.
I guess it was 2 or 3 months ago when we did the first pass on these. How are those coming in general?
Very good. When we first reported, we had 900 cases we identified in that category. When we first started bringing them to you, we started out with 600. I checked today, and that count is down to less than 150.
So it's working. People
Yes,
getting
sir.
things fixed up.
Good job.
Well, 150 that we have presented to you where some actions have been taken. Now we need to follow through with the actual demolition because you have to go through your time periods on those. But yes, it's about 150 that's remaining of that original 900. But there are other cases that are more current that have been amassing since that time, but they're not this backlog of cases. We're just about completed with those.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Thank you, and your staff and all of the people, the inspectors and everybody and all the hard work they're doing to try to help clear some of this backlog. We now move to the general agenda. We have two agenda items, G1 and G2. What? Yes?
Can we do C1, C2, and C67?
Oh, I got caught up in the 60-something numbers. I'm like, okay, we can move. We have other agenda items, C1, which is a item for the financing of the enclave, C2, update on cemetery operations, and that's C67, and the minutes of the General Government Committee.
I'll move approval of the balance of the consent agenda.
And is the cemetery in that group?
Yes, you
Can
want
I
to pull
pull
that
that
one?
one? Pull the
Yes,
cemetery in.
we're going to pull C2.
Otherwise, I'll second the motion.
It is moved and properly second to approve the balance of the consent agenda. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion carries. Secretary, could we hear C2, please?
Item C2, update on cemetery operations.
Good afternoon. I'm James Mitchell with Property and Facility Management. We just wanted to come today and give you a brief update on cemetery operations. As of this morning, we have 9 graves unsold in New Evergreen Cemetery. We have 465 graves unsold in Woodland Cemetery. We've been trying to market Woodland Cemetery as an alternative to New Evergreen, but we've had limited success doing that. As a result of selling out grave spaces, the funding, the budget for the cemeteries moved from an enterprise fund into the general fund, so they're getting more general fund assistance now. They are still pulling money from the perpetual care fund. We can draw the interest from the perpetual care fund, but we cannot withdraw any of the balance or the principal of that fund. Principal of the fund is about $2.2 million. We have approximately $660,000 of interest that's available to us to pull. This year, we'll withdraw $168,000. And so after we withdraw that $168,000, we will still have $660,000 left.
Okay. Councilmember Clark.
We knew this day was coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we've been predicting it for some time, and it sounds like we're just a few more months away from, or weeks away maybe, from being sold out.
I'd say weeks, yes, sir.
I think it will be curious to see what happens when there aren't any more, because as long as you've got a option at New Evergreen, I don't think you're going to sell in Woodlands. But once those are gone, it would be, I think, nice to maybe come back in 6 months. That's my first comment. Second comment is we may, if we do not see a pickup in Woodland, then we're talking about a step change in the number of openings and closings that take place, that we may want to take a look at how we staff that and how we handle a significant drop in activity.
The openings and closing, the sales of graves are pre-need.
Yes.
So we may not have any graves left to sell, but we will still have openings and closings
Yes.
for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, but I would think they would drop as well over time.
With time, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Councilman Beth, Mr. Garrity, you have a comment?
Going to say the need to maintain the cemetery will continue, and it becomes a very expensive park to maintain. It's very labor intensive, so it'd probably be difficult to cut much staff because there's so much maintenance required, hand maintenance around all the graves.
Yeah, a lot of grass to cut, yeah.
Councilman McIntosh.
What is our burn rate there? What do we spend a year on maintenance? Do we have that as a separate item?
I believe that our maintenance budget, the 5.2s, are somewhere around $600,000, I believe is what it is. I'll have to confirm that.
We've got about a year's worth of.
Well, we have revenue from grave sales and also headstone sales, vases, that sort of thing.
We're already predicting Mr. Rao, how much of an increase do we have in the budget for next year for the cemetery? It's an increase. There's an increase in the budget of a couple $100,000, I believe. Yeah, I think that's right.
And when we last had a conversation about this, we had talked about trying to retrieve any that spaces that were not being used, and I know we kind of knew going into that would be a difficult process. But have we made any efforts? Have we had any ability to buy back?
We have had efforts to do so, to buy back unused graves. We've had limited success. I think people are concerned that if they have the grave site and a loved one passes away, they're concerned. They would rather than be in Evergreen than somewhere else. So I think there is some concern there. We have had a few people sell to that.
Thank you.
My comment to that is most people know that Evergreen is an African-American cemetery. And for years, we could not be buried at Woodland. And there's still that perception that culture mind change that hasn't arrived yet. I don't know, but I'd like to see us have some conversations with the local African-American funeral homes and directors, morticians, and crematories. I think there may be an opportunity, because we don't know as African-American community that the graveyard is available for us. There's this cultural shift. We don't know that unless somebody is telling us that. And when we go to do pre-need with our loved ones, and the funeral directors sit down and talk to you about grave sites. If there are no grave sites at Evergreen, we might want to have them to help say, but there are available grave sites at Woodlawn. And I think we need to do that. I don't think we've done that, because my best friend is in the funeral business, and she's always telling me we're running out of graves at Evergreen. And I don't think she knows. They know of Woodland, but nobody has said, we'd like for you to, try to help us push these grave sites in Woodland, because what it does is it keeps your family here in the city, your loved one in the city, versus going to High Point or the one that's not. I don't have anything against the one on Peters Creek, but, it keeps them in the urban core, so I'd like to see us do that.
We'll do it.
Any other comments? Good idea. Can we get a motion? It's just information? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Garrett has already heard from a lot of us, I'm sure, about Easter weekend and how important it is for the cemeteries that we own, Woodland and Evergreen, to look just as good as Old Salem and the Moravian cemeteries, even though they own that.
Evergreen looked really good today. I was out there and looking sharp.
We don't need to have any.
Mr. Rao was out there with his children over the weekend and sent me pictures. So
Thank you. 'Cause
they were making him cut the grass.
we'll now go to the general agenda. G1, please.
Item G1, ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, by creating a new Division 14 entitled Urban Food Policy Council.
Good evening, Chairman Adams and members of the committee. This item requests you consider the adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the Code by creating a new division entitled Urban Food Policy Council. At the request of Councilmember Adams, staff has been working for the last several months to develop a proposal for the creation of an urban food policy council. The overarching purpose of the council would be to initiate and promote actions that increase food access in the city of Winston-Salem, with a particular emphasis on activities in the urban core. The council would advocate for policies that build a sustainable, equitable, and healthy local food system, with the goal of strengthening local economies, reducing hunger and food insecurity, and enhancing the health of the citizens of the city. As part of the exploration process, staff did survey a number of peer North Carolina municipalities which have active healthy food policy councils. We found that food policy councils currently exist in a number of peer communities. For example, Asheville, Greensboro, Charlotte, Raleigh, and Durham, among several others, currently have food policy councils. And while the structures do vary slightly, they generally consist of community members that have an interest or an expertise in areas such as food production, distribution, marketing, processing, consumption, access, entrepreneurship, and disposal. So with that, I'll pause. You do have the language of the ordinance in your packages to review. Be happy to respond to any questions you may have.
So this is like a commission, so to speak. And does it say in here how many members and terms and all that?
It does.
It's all taken care of?
That's, yes.
Well, it doesn't spell out terms, at least as far as I saw.
No, it doesn't. It tells how many, 9.
Right.
Oh.
And who would this commission report through?
So the committee would, the staff liaison would be in the community development department. I think the fact that terms were missing from the ordinance was an oversight. We can certainly work to correct it. But it'd be in line with the general terms that we see in most of the other boards and commissions. 3 years, yes.
Any other comments from
Yeah,
Councilman McIntyre?
I love the idea. I think it's great. I wonder, I mean, I know the focus is urban, but do we limit it by calling it urban food? I mean, I'm just thinking, do we have opportunities to take kids out to the farming community and to work on some other agricultural stuff? And 6 months together?
Mr. Raleigh, what did the other cities call theirs?
The names ranged. Some were just Food Policy Council or some derivation thereof. They kind of ran the gamut.
Yeah, I don't.
I understand.
I like the urban in the language of it, but calling it that does limits it to the urban area. The other thing that I had a question on was where the absentee policy, where the chair may notify that person who has missed 2. I would rather see it be shall notify a person who has missed 2 consecutive. I think it can be awkward if it's may, then it's kind of a call on the person's, on the chair's part.
That's in the first sentence, right?
Yeah, section 297.
And shall be removed.
Change may to shall.
Right, strike
Shall
the
notify.
Shall be.
Not necessarily remove, but shall notify, at least to start the process.
Okay. Any other comments? Councilman
That
Clark?
was my tax account. My taxes
I
are ready.
told you,
so
you need to take care of it. Go
I
ahead.
took care of it. No, I'd be curious to see what they can come up with to assist the community here. And I'm sorry I had to step out, but who is the staff person this group would report to?
It'd be, yes.
This
Staff
committee.
person would be housing community development.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all. You want a motion?
Yes, and then I'll make a comment.
I'll make the motion that we approve C1 or G1.
I'll second, if I may suggest an amendment, that we include a provision that the terms will be 3 years staggered and that the initial appointments be a third for each of 3, 2, and 1.
I'll accept that as a friendly amendment.
You've heard the motion. It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed. One of the things that I think everybody knows my passion for anything anything, whether it's food, whether it's farming, whether it's urban, whether it's hydroponics, it doesn't matter. The one thing that we constantly hear, some of us when we travel, is they always mention the triad as the poorest, the hungriest, the most, people that don't have food access to grocery stores and fresh produce. So what I did was, in my travels, I'm always very conscious that other cities, again, that's what we do, we benchmark. Other cities and peers that I talk to, they talk to me about their food policy councils and committees. And these groups, no different than the MWBA and others, they help to facilitate conversation with probably maybe grocery stores, with farmers markets, and other food organizations throughout our city. I do know that there is some concern from those organizations that have already formulated groups around food access. But as staff knows, I communicated with those folks to help them understand that the city is the city, and we can take the lead on just about anything that we see that we need to for our citizens. And this group will also network with Community Gardens Group, the Home Extension, the Consortium, the Food Bank, the Hydroponics, the Hope. It's just, we're trying to make sure that we as a city have a handle on all of these groups that are forming and popping up and emerging that say they want to eliminate hunger within Winston-Salem. Well, I think they don't know that what's coming is we're going to hold people accountable that if you say you're doing this, and we got the data to prove, just like homelessness, that either the needle is moving or it's not, then that gives us an opportunity to help them maybe focus on some other goals that may be productive to our citizens. So again, thank you, Mr. Raleigh and staff, for working on this project. We duly appreciate it. Okay? Next item, please.
Item G2, presentation on the 2017-20 through 2021 strategic plan.
Good afternoon, Chairman Adams, members of the committee and council.
Good afternoon.
Last Monday, the Committee of the Whole received a presentation on the strategic plan. Three parts of that. We talked about the process that you went through to get to where the draft strategic plan is. We talked a little bit about the plan itself, the action items and the structure thereof, and then we talked about next steps. Among those first next steps were to come back to the mayor and city council for feedback on the draft strategic plan, specifically on the action items that are in the plan in each one of the strategic focus areas. The memo that came forward with this item suggested which pieces of the plan this committee might look at, those being the livable neighborhoods and service excellence sections. So I am here to listen to any feedback from the committee you might have on any of the action items there. If you want to look at the strategies, again, those were ranked previously by council at the January session. So unless there are significant issues with the ranking of the strategies, if you have any feedback on the action items, we'd love to hear it. So.
I think Councilmember Clark mentioned yesterday about, and Mr. Garrity said that individually we'll be getting with you to give our feedback.
Yeah.
All right.
And I will say, in anticipation of the Finance Committee, I did review the ones that you had connected with the Finance Committee. I haven't had a chance. I'm going to take my book home tonight and review those connected with this committee.
We will take any feedback that we get, incorporate it, and bring it back to you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Clark.
Mr. Brooks, are you still here? Just a general question. Are you I'm a little concerned that more people didn't show up tonight. If I got a notice that you're going to tear my house down or a property I own, it seemed like maybe the room should have been jam-packed. And you can see how big the book is. And we had, well, Mr. Miller owns 3 properties and another gentleman, maybe 6 properties total.
That's not uncommon.
That's not uncommon.
We don't get a lot of folks to respond when we send out the notices for the hearing.
Right.
You would be surprised at the number of persons who just don't respond.
Okay.
Matter of fact, there were some folks here tonight who spoke when they got their initial notices of hearings. They did not respond.
Because I see us moving forward to a lot of demolitions at the rate we're going. Could be hundreds of them. If the numbers you're giving me are, well, maybe not 100, maybe 70 or 80.
Keep in mind, you had about 50 or so either were removed because of compliance, or they had indicated they were going to do the 120-day PDA. So
Yeah.
they probably figured they didn't show up.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm just curious. Thank you. for your-
We've seen a larger number of individuals choosing to repair properties since this process started. So it has been one that really pushed folks to move to do something positive. So we've seen this being a very good tool to get folks to finally act. But yeah, a number of folks just don't respond.
Okay, thank you.
Then we will also use in-rim repair as a tool. On some of these, the cost of repair is $500-$600. We're not going to demolish those. We'll go out and figure out a way to make the repairs ourselves.
Okay.
And attach a lien
On the property.
to the cost.
Okay, thank you. And thank
Any
Mrs.
other-
Adams for chairing tonight.
We got through it, didn't we? Councilmember Larson.
I asked a question, you guys more knowledgeable, why BDA is limited to less than 50%, sort of based on your query there for a moment, and what would be the disadvantage of extending it to a larger population? The 30-day delay, is that compared to the administrative aspects of simplifying the process and getting them to sign off and everything else, is there a significant disadvantage to going ahead and extending it from 120 to the greater than 50%? Just for administrative simplicity, maybe even. I mean, I'm trying to understand. I mean, I understand the difference between the value rendered, but as far as engaging the homeowners, does it really make that much difference to us? And would it, in fact, simplify our lives a little bit, or would it give some opportunity for engagement that maybe we're not getting? It just would standardize the process.
I think it would lend itself to having more opportunities for folks who have property to have another last chance opportunity to repair them if it were extended to the plus 50%.
How did we end up with that? I know it's a new program, so the size of it here, but just trying to understand.
Well, it's not a new program. It's been around for some time.
We streamlined it. Mr. Garrity or the attorney?
I was going to say, I guess the question might be, realistically, do they have the financial wherewithal to effectuate the repairs
Yeah.
in 120 days? And should staff be asking for evidence of that financial ability? Because that's normally what you all have asked for.
Councilmember Bessie.
Doesn't this end up self-selecting? I mean, if folks don't have the capacity, they don't go for the VDA, so it drops back into the 90. And for those instances where someone wants to contest the valuation, the simplest way to do that is to prove it, fix it.
As a matter of fact, when we first started the voluntary demolition agreement, which was many years ago, we started out by offering that to individuals as an option. And one of the things they had to do is to show that they had the financial resources to make the repairs. That was one of the requirements. And in fact, we still do that in some instances when we talk to folks even before it gets to your level. But on those particular cases, they would have to provide evidence that they have the financial wherewithal to make the repairs.
In this case, basically, you're looking at 90 days versus 120 days. Not a big deal, really, in terms of the speed of repairs. So I mean, I'm inclined to endorse Councilmember Larson's suggestion that we consider offering it for the.
Does it help from a paperwork standpoint if they've already signed the demolition, the voluntary demolition, that if it's not done in 120 days, we don't have to do anything else?
Exactly. I mean, that's part of the administrative process, and it would be simpler.
What I'm hearing is the staff, council would like staff to go and look at and probably send us or give us some kind of draft with the language changes, and maybe even any, references or recommendations as to what do you think this is going to prove or happen, what's going to be the fallout. Because sometimes we come up with some good stuff and we do it, and then we find out that maybe that wasn't such a good idea. So be able to at least tell the rest of the council. Again, you got to remember, 75–80% of these properties are in the urban core of the four council members.
Yes,
So you need to be cognizant of that. Yeah, we know you got one, we got hundreds. But can you do that for us, please, Mr.
Yes, I
Brooks?
can.
Thanks.
Can I also,
require an amendment resolution because you all did adopt, council adopted resolution last time.
Okay.
We can bring report that.
Bring,
Please.
yes. Councilman McIntosh.
I'd like to see a count of how many houses we actually tore down in 2015, 2016, and then going as we go along to keep track of it. I mean, my sense is with the improving housing market, there's more incentive to fix up rather than let it go, but I know not always. Thanks.
Well, I'm going to make one last comment. If you drive through the 4 wards that's got the most houses, you'll see why sometimes we want to tear these houses down. I mean, you know, like I said, we got elected by the people who we represent. And if there are 2 or 3 houses on the street that's been like that for 6 to 10 years, again, I tell people, I tore down a house next door to me. I operated under the city's ordinances, got my city council member, got planning involved, the inspectors involved, the city manager. Beautiful home, fire damage. They said they were going to fix it. House was there for 3-4 years. Every time it rained, snowed, you could just smell the house. And the people told me that they had tried to get it torn down and nothing happened. I told them, let me go to work on it. Within 2 to 3 months, the house was down, and we had nice, sunny, grassy knoll next door to my house. It's still there. And it's not, you know, we're getting comments from some of our constituents, Councilmember Burt, Councilmember Montgomery, Councilmember Taylor, and myself, that some of our constituents now feel like this is part of a bigger scheme for gentrification, others coming into the neighborhoods, buying up the properties cheap, and fixing them up and forcing out the community, the poor people and the seniors and that sort of thing. So now we are having to respond to those questions of, they're saying that they're getting calls from realtors, the old people in our communities wanting to tell them they want to buy their houses and they need to sell them. So Mr. Brooks and staff, the attorney, I think you need to go start looking for anything, whether city links or something, because I'm supposed to be meeting with some of them next week about this issue. But I have communicated that people can't make you sell your house. I don't care who they are. So, you know.
I've said this before. Let's be careful how we use the term realtors. Real estate investors and
Property
realtors.
owners.
There you go.
Property owners, and I stand to be corrected. You are right. Thank you, Councilmember McIntosh. Property owners in the community, they need to understand that housing market's coming back. We're seeing a lot of activity, they say, I don't know, in our communities to buy up the houses that are in decline. So, any more comments? Any more good order? Meeting adjourned.